This is Talking Football with two bald guys. I'm Adam.
I'm Tony.
Tony, a little jump around. We needed to give a shout out to Wisconsin because they didn't look very good this weekend.
No, they didn't. They did. We thought maybe they would compete a little bit. And Bama, I don't know if Bama looked good or Wisconsin looked bad. A little combination of both.
Yeah.
But Bama ran away with that game.
They did. But they do the jump around. That is one of the coolest things I think
That is
that they do. We talked about playing some songs that they do at college football games, and Wisconsin does that at the end or going into the fourth quarter.
right. Which the game was already.
It was
already out of hand at that point.
But when they're in games, it's great. Like they jump around. But that was one of the things when Michigan, played well against Wisconsin. They started jumping around with the chairs,
Nice.
and that kind of was like one of those things that kind of started to turn for Michigan to make it look like we're not intimidated. We're going to do this because that can be intimidating. At Wisconsin, when they start jumping around,
Oh, it would be a cool atmosphere to be
Yeah.
in, especially in a close game against a rival like Minnesota. Or
it'd be great.
Michigan or
It'd be
something.
great.
All right, good stuff.
All right, good stuff. That was House Payne jumping around. I like that. Anyways, we are Talking Football, two ball guys. Again, we're part of Elevation 5280 Sports. That's E5280sports.com out of Colorado. And we also have a partnership with Happy Nuts. I just got home from I coach baseball. You coach baseball. I got home from practice. Had to take a shower. I used some Happy Nuts stuff. Smells good.
Yeah, I got them from the gym. I use it as well. Like, you might as well. You have these products. That's
Right.
what they're there for.
Yep.
You don't have to take a full-on shower.
Right.
You just freshen up a little bit.
There you go.
Happy Nuts, the cream, the powder, the spray, whatever it is. Clean yourself
I
up.
haven't tried anything from them that hasn't been good. I know you're starting to also,
Correct.
so it's
Yeah,
great stuff. So.
Everything I'm using is fantastic.
So we got the partnership with Happy Nuts. Check out the link in anywhere you can find our podcast, and the code is,
Two Bald Guys 20 for 20% off.
and it's
All
worth
products.
it. It's
Yeah.
worth it. I mean, you're going to get that stuff for better than anywhere else. All right. We could talk. Happy Nuts is a good thing. Last weekend, the NFL was not.
Oh, it's crazy.
Was not. Like, I mean, is that a segue? Can we do a segue from good to bad, or what happened? Like last week, I said, what the heck happened with the college football, and you had some excuses, and then we just sat down here, and I was like,
Right.
what the heck happened with the NFL? And you're like, all
100%
on you.
I'm on you on that one. I think the segue from Happy Nuts being you can trust Happy Nuts. You know what you're getting from them, and it's good stuff.
Yes.
And then the NFL, you look and go, what is going on out there? Is it early in the season type stuff? I know. I mean, Jordan Love was hurt, but apparently that didn't matter. Like, things are getting crazy.
It didn't make sense. So here, I want to do this for you because I was looking at it and I was just kind of curious. Okay, the teams that are 2-0. Okay,
All right, go.
the Bills
Okay,
make sense.
okay.
The Texans make
Sure.
sense. The Chiefs make
Makes
sense.
Is that it?
And that is it.
That is it.
Okay, here's the other 2-0 teams, and you tell me if they make sense. The Steelers,
No, because that schedule's tough, and we
Right.
know that.
the Chargers,
I said no at the beginning. I know
Right.
that's your boy Harbaugh over there.
the Vikings with
No,
Sam Darnold.
No, and 100% no.
Two teams in the NFC South,
Okay,
the Buccaneers
right.
and the Saints.
Saints. Who are the Saints all of a sudden?
And then the
Oh my
Seahawks.
gosh, no, none of those.
Those
I mean, come on now.
Those are your 2-0 teams. Now, here's some 0-2 teams that might be a little bit shocking. The Rams,
Yeah, probably.
0-2. The Broncos, no.
No.
The Jaguars, 0-2.
Right.
Maybe. The Colts, 0-2.
Yep.
Maybe. The Bengals, 0-2.
That's a big one.
The Ravens, 0-2.
That's huge.
And that's your 0-2 teams.
Right. And fortunately, the Ravens were 0-2 because of my Raiders, which was a shock.
I'm sorry, those are the 0-2 teams that are shocking.
That are
The
shocking,
Giants
yes.
are 0-2.
Well, right.
And we'll talk
Right.
the Broncos are 0-2. The
Right.
Titans are 0-2. The Panthers are 0-2.
Yeah. Those are normals. That's what we need.
All right, things that shocked me over the weekend. One,
Come on.
the Saints just thumping. They had no answer. Alvin Kamara looked like
Who was that?
3 years ago when he was one of the best guys in fantasy football or in the league, which was
Yeah, the Saints look like a college team playing a nobody out there.
Is Derek Carr good now?
He was always kind of good. He was kind of good, but he is on fire. Kamara's ridiculous.
So in
Defensive
week
stuff.
1, they beat the Panthers and
Okay,
bad, and nobody's
but-
like the Panthers are so
Right.
bad. But then they just put it on the Cowboys, and I kept thinking the Cowboys would come back. The Cowboys, then they never did,
And
they couldn't stop them.
that was probably more shocking.
Yeah.
That they gave up 44 points. That's college
Because
scores.
Dallas is supposed to have that good defense. Now,
They have
Dallas
that.
kind of did this last year against the Cardinals, I think. And you just scratch your head, and then they end up being okay and
Right,
fine
right.
until the playoffs.
And they still might.
But I mean,
The Saints, though, but it's against the Saints. If the Chiefs went out and did that,
right,
or somebody like that,
Right.
okay.
right.
But the Saints were supposed to be what? Middle of the road team?
So that was one thing that shocked me. The other one was the 49ers losing to the Vikings. Now,
Yes.
we know the Vikings have some talent, obviously Justin Jefferson and stuff like that. And then they have Aaron Jones as running back. So, even though they lost, who left? Dalvin Cook a couple years ago, but they have Aaron Jones there now. But Sam Darnold's our quarterback.
And he has not done anything.
Ever.
But now.
I said, remember the beginning of the year, I said, do you think Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof? And you said no, because Sam Darnold throwing to him. Well,
maybe
that might be wrong.
Maybe. Oh, Sam Darnold might be. Did he figure it out finally?
Yeah,
He's getting his chance.
They beat the 49ers.
23-17, like the defense again.
Yeah,
held
look
the
good.
Niners down a little bit.
Look good. Here, the Eagles losing to the Falcons.
But we kind of both were still iffy on the Eagles based on how they finished last year.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, they're still kind of carrying that on because Falcons aren't awful, but they should have beat the Falcons
at
1 point
in Philadelphia, and they were just coming off beating the Packers.
Right.
In Philadelphia on a Monday night, that should be a win.
And you lose by 1.
And they I missed the end of the game because I went to sleep. I went to sleep after the Falcons turned it over and the Eagles got a late. So I was like, this game's over. Apparently, they threw a pass to Saquon and he was wide open and he dropped it. And he would have scored a touchdown and that would have won the game for him.
Correct.
Instead, the Falcons go down and score, and then Jalen Hurts throws an interception. Jalen Hurts looked okay at times, but it's the same Jalen Hurts we talked about. Like, is he really that good of a quarterback?
He had a great MVP type season.
He did 2 years ago.
And then you were like, he still kind of needs to prove it. And started out last year going, okay, maybe. And then since they're left, 11-0 last year? And then
I think they were like 10-1.
Like they went on this losing
They lost
streak.
like 6 or 7 games. I think the game they won was the Giants.
Right. So
or something like
they
that.
have been awful.
Yeah.
I mean, awful for a while. It's Jalen Hurts, and that's it. He had his moment.
You
over.
can't, like,
He's
I mean,
done.
Saquon had a decent game. And, I mean, but you look at the weapons. Now A.J. Brown was out, but you still have Devonta Smith out there. Devontae Smith.
He's fast.
And you have some other options, Goddard and Saquon and stuff. You have options. And it just.
And Jalen Hurts can run the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's times when it looks like you're not going to stop them. And then there's times where you're like, they're not that good.
The Eagles might be lucky they're in the division that they're in this year. Because, man, if they were in another division, they might be in trouble. If they keep playing like this. They got to turn it around.
they have a chance, because Cowboys obviously are going to be okay. Like, I don't think that this is the end of the Cowboys, but the Giants and the Commanders are not good. And speaking of them, they play each other. This is the only reason the NFC East won this week. Did you see this stat about the Giants, how they lost?
I missed that.
They're the first team in the history of the NFL.
That's saying a lot right there.
Okay, that's a long time.
That's a lot.
To score 3 touchdowns, give up no touchdowns, and lose.
They didn't give up a touchdown?
No.
What the heck happened in that game?
Their kicker went out. Their kicker had a bad groin, and then he went out on the first kickoff, so they didn't have anybody to kick.
So is that
why they went for 2, and that's why they got 18.
Is that why
they gave up 7 field goals.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking at it now.
So if you had the Commanders kicker, which I don't think anybody would have had the Commanders kicker. If you had the Commanders kicker, that's a pretty good day. I mean, that's a lot of points. The Giants scored 3 touchdowns, didn't give up a touchdown, and lost.
Yeah, Giants went out in the touchdown, and then it's all Washington field goals. That's unbelievable. 7 field goals and you win the game. So
a buddy of mine that Teach coach with, and he's a Giants fan, and I really didn't know because I wasn't really paying attention to the Giants Commanders game on Monday night. I said, did the Giants win? And apparently a fan heard me, didn't yell at me, but he's like, no, we didn't win. We don't have an effing kicker. We're the Giants. We're horrible.
Okay. Yeah, he's right.
But if you come into it and your kicker is somewhat maybe a little bit injured with a groin, why do you not have another kicker backup ready?
There's got to be somebody ready. If you have a healthy kicker, you're still only probably tied in that game, though. Think about that.
But you're still tied.
But you're still tied at least, and you have a chance to win the game. But that's wild. Because you look at the score 21-18. Okay, that could be anything, right?
Right.
You're thinking 3 touchdowns for the Commanders for sure.
Right, and it could have been more like if the Giants missed an extra point and they kicked 2 field goals, there's 18. 18 is not impossible to get to whatever, or they missed 2.
But you wouldn't think that's 7 field
It
goals.
was 7 field goals. Yeah.
Insane.
7 times
Insane.
3 is 21.
Sounds like
That's
60 points in fantasy for the kicker.
Well, I mean,
Depends on
the
who
way
the
we
best
play,
goes.
they get points per field goal for how far they are. So in the 30s, it's 3. In the
Right.
40s. So if he's just in the 30s, that's 21 points. I'm guessing they weren't all 30-yard field goals.
Correct.
So
he's probably 50 point.
That's not a 50. It's
point
not a 50-point game, but
50-point game for the kicker.
it's a good game for the kicker. Yeah. So what was his field goals?
That's wild.
Are you looking it up?
Look it up. Okay, I can look up the field goals. Wow, that's play by play. I don't want to play by play. 40-yarder.
Okay, that's 4.
What am I missing here?
Come on.
I didn't bring my glasses.
Oh my gosh. Do you mean to do this for you?
You're gonna do this. I can't see
Okay.
anything.
All right, let's do this. I'll look at this, okay? Because I'll do the thing. All right. He had a 27-yarder, that's 3 points. 40-yarder, that's 4, so that's 7. Another 20, so that's 3, so that's 10. Oh, 2 more 20-yarders, 2 more 30-yarders. So 3, 6, 9, 12. So he had 22 points.
Oh, okay.
Not as much as we thought, but still 22 points from our kickers good. Anyways,
Yeah.
7 field goals to win the game, and the last one did come as time expired.
How would you like to lose like that?
That's bad.
awful.
That's bad. So that was surprising.
Come on, you're missing one.
Am I missing one?
You're missing a surprise.
Oh, okay.
Not to me. I knew it.
All right. This. No. Stop. Okay, you're right. The Raiders beat the Ravens, but it's not that the Raiders beat the Ravens, which that was a surprise because it was in Baltimore. I don't think anybody gave them a chance to win that game, especially the way they looked against the Chargers. And the Ravens were a toe away from tying or beating the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's not that the Raiders won that game; it's how they won that game.
Down 10. They were down
Late.
10
Late.
and fooled around
And messed around and won.
And
In regulation, not even in overtime.
Correct. And Gardner Minshew did Gardner Minshew things. He threw an awful interception earlier. Like it was absolute garbage. And then he goes down there and looks like MVP type quarterback.
Listen, Gardner Minshew was 30 of 38 for 276, a touchdown and an interception. I mean, but that's what he does.
Devontae Adams won that game for him.
9 receptions, 110 yards. Brock Bowers showed up too.
Devontae Adams made a couple of catches that were ridiculous. It just barely get both feet in, leaning out of bounds, like keeping drives alive. Devontae Adams won that game for the Raiders.
So I'm telling you,
Max Crosby.
I'm telling you right now, if you'd have told me that the Raiders were going to have 27 yards rushing,
they had no rushing idea.
17 rushes. That's it. 17 rushes.
No
Zamir White, who was supposed to be decent, 9 rushes, 24 yards. Alexander Madison, 4 rushes, 1 yard, and a touchdown. How about that?
The one, that was
1
it.
yard, a touchdown. You have him playing to see. He got you some points because he scored a touchdown. But yeah, the Raiders. That's a huge win, and now all of a sudden the Raiders are 0. I mean, the Ravens are 0-2.
It's early still, and I know this is my pick for them to go a long ways, and I'm happy my Raiders won, obviously. But the Raiders do this to me. They beat the Ravens or the Chiefs or something. They beat a team they probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then they go and they're going to lose to the Panthers next week.
So yeah, they better not. I picked up. I'm using them as my survivor pick in the league I'm in. Okay. Anyways, so with the Ravens loss, I mean that's awesome. Raiders get the win. That's not a win you thought they would have.
No, we didn't.
Like you picked them to beat the Chargers last week.
Yeah.
I didn't. Now my Chargers pick is looking okay because I had them winning the division. They're 2-0.
They're looking
Jim
good.
Harbaugh. But then again, I had the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. Now they're 0-2. There's some controversy at the end of that Chiefs game.
True.
But if you flip it and that happens to the Bengals, they're like that's a penalty. That guy clearly hit that guy early.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, dude, that's clearly a penalty.
It is.
He was there early. The argument is he was trying to go for the ball, but you hit the receiver in the back. I think it's obvious.
It is.
It's obvious.
It wasn't a Hail Mary.
No,
because sometimes when you have those Hail Marys, they let some stuff go because it's just that wasn't a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
He was open. Open-ish.
Yeah.
Open for what they needed on 4th and whatever it was, 12, I think it was. And Mahomes put it in a position for him to catch the ball, and the Bengals guy hit him. And then Butker does Butker things and kicks a field goal and wins the game.
If that's any other team but the Chiefs, do you think people are...
No.
But because the Chiefs are who they are, people are going to throw a tantrum about it.
Yep. Because they think it's rigged. Listen,
I hate the Chiefs more than anybody.
If the NFL is rigged, then what? Don't tell me last week doesn't happen. That's not part of the script. All that stuff you're telling me that's part of the script?
All of it. That's 7 field goals. That's in the script.
Yeah, this is what you're going to do.
Great.
You're going to kick 7 field goals.
That's it.
See, you can't control that stuff. Like the people that say, like Get out of here.
But okay, let's say the script said you're going to kick 7 field goals. He still has to make them all.
Correct. That's
right?
what I'm saying.
You can't control what happens.
Right.
That's the difference. Now penalties and stuff like that, they can manipulate those, and I think there's probably more refs being gambling, like that stuff actually has happened.
I'm sure a little bit, yes, but
you have to make field goals. You have to catch passes.
Right.
Saquon Barkley, catch the pass.
This is the script we're going to do. You're going to score through. Your kicker's going to be hurt, so you can't kick extra points. And then the other team's going to kick 7 field goals.
Not on the script, because nobody cares about the Commanders.
So, but going back to the Ravens now, the Ravens are 0-2, and they played the Cowboys this week. Ooh. The Cowboys are 1-1. The Ravens lose, they're 0-3, and now are you in a little bit of panic mode? If the Cowboys lose, they're both 1-2, and now you're looking at, And
I still think the Cowboys are, even if they lose, because of the division they're in, I think they can get away with some losses. But the Ravens are in a division that
they can't. They can't.
Yeah, because the Steelers.
The Steelers. Let's pump the brakes on the Steelers a little bit because the two teams they beat have not been great.
This might be their only 2 wins.
They
have a rough schedule.
They do have a rough schedule. So let's just go back to it. We've laughed about it. Where are they at?
We've went over it a few times, and we both agree that that's a tough schedule. At least what it looked like
at the end of the year. Right. It is pretty bad. So they have beaten the Falcons 18-10 and the Broncos 13-6. That's not inciting but it's a Steeler way. They're 2-0. Both of those games were on the road. Now they have home against the Chargers, who are 2-0. Is Justin Herbert going to play? He has been out. He says he's a little bit better. He rolled up on his ankle pretty good. Okay. But they have the Chargers, Colts, and Cowboys. And then they have the Raiders and Jets. Like, that's a rough little stretch here. Then they get the Giants and Commanders. But then again, this is how they end the season. The Ravens, Browns, Bengals, Browns, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
It's rough.
That 2-4, that's 8 games.
And the Browns are okay. The Bengals will get better. Of course, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. The Eagles are still, you got to deal with the Eagles.
And the Ravens twice. They still have Lamar if Lamar's healthy. And as much as I don't think he's a great quarterback, he is a huge threat.
Correct.
So they need to win. They need to win at home this week against the Chargers.
They need to go out up until that first Browns game, and then we'll see what happens after that.
So the Thursday night game is the Patriots and the Jets, which would be tomorrow. We're taping this on Wednesday.
1-1 teams.
They're both 1-1. The Patriots have a defense.
They're not.
Their offense isn't great, but they have a defense. The Jets are still trying to find their offense with Aaron Rodgers. He's been okay, but he hasn't been great.
He's gonna get.
It is in New York.
He's gonna start figuring it out. He's gonna click. They got to run the ball a little bit. The offensive line might be their weakness, I guess. That defense. This is probably going to be a low scoring game.
I think so.
That's what I'm guessing. What's the over-under?
The over-under is 38.5. That is really low.
That is low.
That's not as low as the Packers-Titans that I'm looking at for a Sunday game, but 38.5 is low. I still think they might hit the under.
That could be
I could see it 17-14, 17-10.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, and that's only 31 points.
Yeah. Well,
if I would not take the over in this game. I wouldn't probably bet on it. Period. But if I had to, I would take the under. I think the Jets win that game though.
Yeah. Good for the Patriots for winning a game. They look better than they have.
They look better than I thought they would. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Jets this year. I think I told you that. I mentioned that earlier. The Jets are going to win this game. But yeah, the under on that 38.5 is looking better.
Yeah. The other one that I just saw, and I'm looking at my son's phone, so the Packers are right on top. The Packers-Titans is 37.5 for the over-under. Now, the Titans are 0-2 because Will Levis apparently forgets how to play football for stretches of the game. And the Packers are 2-0. No, I'm sorry, they're 1-1. They lost the Eagles first, but then they won without Jordan Love, but they did it basically with Josh Jacobs and the running game because they had to start Malik Willis. Malik Willis, I think, he did 14 passes. He did complete 12 of them, but they didn't make him throw it downfield at all.
No.
Don't make a mistake is basically what they said.
And it works for them.
Right.
They'll play some defense. They'll kill the clock. Josh Jacobs is a workhorse. He always has been.
Right.
Give him the ball. Let him beat the defense up a little bit. Keep the other team's offense at the field. And the Packers can squeeze out a couple of wins because Jordan Love's iffy, I think, coming into this week. We could play, maybe not. I'd keep him out another week.
I would too.
Just in case.
I would too.
Because I think you can beat the Titans without him.
Yeah. I think you can. I don't think they do. I think this is the Titans team. I saw them play the Bears, which we'll talk about the Bears in a minute. Will Levis looks good at times. He does have or Pollard back in the backfield,
Tony
and then he's
Pollard.
got Calvin Ridley there with Devon Hopkins.
Yeah.
So he's got some weapons. So if he can just stay out of his way with these making these stupid mistakes, I think the Titans win.
You like the Titans in this one.
I don't like the Titans.
But you
I
like
don't
them
like
in
this
one.
game in particular either. So, but I think the Titans win this game.
I mean, the Titans are 0-2, but I feel like they're a little bit better team than 0-2.
They are. They've been in both games.
So I just think I think the Packers with Josh Jacobs get it done. I think this is an ugly game.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
it's gonna be
I think
great.
that would be another low scoring game on that
I
one
think
too.
the Packers squeeze this one out.
Yeah, but they'll do this exact same thing. Malik Willis don't lose the game for us,
Correct,
so
yeah.
we're gonna make sure you can't lose the game for us.
And maybe Will Levis might need to do the same thing.
Right. Yeah. 2-2-0 games that are like kind of next up on is the Chargers and Steelers. We talked about a little bit. Look, the Chargers haven't looked pretty doing it, but they're 2-0. But you know what? It's kind of a Jim Harbaugh type of team.
That's what they do.
They just kind of grind things out and they win. The Steelers I think they're winning in spite of Justin Fields starting. Like Justin Fields, he'll make a play or two where you're like, man, this guy's got it, and then he'll just throw some balls and you're like, what is going on? So I like the Chargers in this game. The Pittsburgh's actually a 1.5 favorite. That's another low over under. That's 35.5. I think that could be low too, especially if Justin Herbert doesn't play.
That's going to be the secret there. If Justin Herbert doesn't play, I think the Steelers can win that game. If Justin Herbert plays like he can, I think the Chargers win this game.
All right. Texans and Vikings. Texans
2-0
teams. The Vikings are a little bit surprising. Texans aren't. The Texans gave the Bears every opportunity on that Sunday night game to win that game, and the Bears couldn't block anybody. Like the O line, I thought it was going to be better. It's shockingly bad so far. Like Caleb Williams again, and it's frustrating than DJ Moore for the Bears, which we can talk about the Bears in a minute. But the Titans still look good at times. CJ Stroud, their defense is pretty good. The Vikings are a little surprised. They have Houston as a 2-point favorite. I'm picking the Texans in this game just because I think they're better. I'm going to give CJ Stroud the benefit of the doubt in this one. But then again, the 49ers just went into Minnesota and lost. But I do think CJ Stroud's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy.
Yeah, overall. But is the team better?
No.
Probably not. But Sam Darnold has done what he has to do. Get the ball to your playmakers.
Yep.
The defense looks solid out there for Minnesota. But I agree with you. I think the Texans, they're really good. They played well last year. Mm-hmm. They're carrying that over. Texans are going to win this game.
All right, the Eagles go to the Saints. The Saints, like you said,
who are they?
They are the biggest surprise because we thought the NFC South was going to be awful. We thought it was like a team could go 8-9 and make the playoffs. And all of a sudden the Saints and the Buccaneers look capable too.
New Orleans is barely favorite in this game.
The New Orleans is a 2.5-point favorite. Like, who's the Eagles? Because they came out and they beat the Packers, and then people got back on board with it, the Eagles. Are they the team from 2 years ago? Are they a team that was 10-1 to start last year, but they were kind of just eking games out? Are they the team that's fallen flat over the last 10 games?
Right, that's the key. Like what team? And who are the Saints? Are they the Saints of old that?
They look pretty darn good.
They look really good.
Again.
Against the Panthers,
we talked to the Panthers, whatever, but
Cowboys.
they killed the Cowboys. I mean, they put 41 points up on the Cowboys. If this was in Philly, I might lean towards the Eagles. But you know what? The Saints are at home. I'm going to take the Saints.
I like that pick a lot. I think the Saints are on a roll. Derek Carr's playing like he's 25 years old again, and
Alvin Kamara is looking like
right
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like he's looking really good. So
Saints score too many points in this game.
I think so. I think the Saints win this game, and all of a sudden now the Eagles could be looking at 1-2.
Ooh, that could be trouble in Philly.
I mean, now do they get on Nick Sirianni a little bit,
or Jalen Hurts? Depending on how Jalen Hurts plays,
right? I mean, the Heat's gonna start like getting under his butt. Yeah,
correct.
Let's see, the Broncos and the Bucks. You think the Broncos have any shot?
No, I like the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's playing well.
All right, Giants and Browns. You think the Giants have any shot?
No, Browns win again.
All right, I agree with both of those. So we don't need to talk about it too much. The Bears go to the Colts, which is. It's the Bears team, which is my team, and then the Colts where I grew up. So the Colts would be my second team. Right. Kind of like the Ravens and Missouri and Auburn and anybody named the Tigers. I don't know. I'm just going with Tigers team. The Bears I've been so excited for this team.
Yeah.
They have so many weapons right now on offense, but Caleb Williams has no time to think. Now, and I think it's affecting how he plays. Now,
sure.
would he have made some of those throws anyway? I don't know. But like if you're getting hit every play, it matters.
It gets in your head.
And like some of these plays that showed the Bears off in line, they're not blocking anybody, and they're not doing it on purpose. I just think
It looks like they're doing it on purpose.
I know, but there's no way they're doing that on purpose because they come in with like this isn't a team that they're expecting to go 3-14. Like this is a team that could compete for the NFC North.
Right.
But they did get a win against the Titans, and they're playing the Colts, who's 0-2 with Anthony Richardson. The Colts are a 1-point favorite, which again in Indianapolis, I picked the Colts to make the playoffs. I think they're okay, but they just haven't proved like the offense. And Anthony Richardson is what we kind of like we're worried about.
Right.
He's got
a cannon,
unbelievable talent. But you know who else had a cannon? I'm going to bring it up again. Jamarcus Russell had a cannon, rocket arm.
Yeah.
Joe Milton had a cannon at Michigan and Tennessee.
Right.
Didn't win anything. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson can't, but I think this is the game where the Bears offense finally breaks out a little bit.
Okay.
The Colts defense is okay, but I don't think it's as good. Texans were all over them. I think they sacked them 7 times. I think they fix some things. Maybe they move some guys around. The Bears win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Colts have some issues. Anthony Richardson being one of them. I think the Colts are okay, but the Bears, their defense is going to keep them in the game. We know that.
They kept them in the Panthers. Against the Texans,
yes.
they give 16 points
That's
or
right.
19. I can't remember, but right there.
If the offense can figure out a way to get Caleb Williams some time, roll him out of the pocket, do something different, blocking schemes, something, anything would be better than what we saw last week. The Bears are going to win this game.
All right, Panthers go to the Raiders. Are you worried at all?
Listen, the only thing I'm worried is the letdown.
Yeah.
But the Panthers are so bad.
They are.
But
Andy Dalton.
They're correct. They're going to start Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton is a competent quarterback, and it's funny how sometimes you bring in a guy that's a competent quarterback as a backup, and they win the game.
It's kind of like Gardner Minshew has done in the past.
Like it's different.
That worries me.
Yeah.
But it's at home. They're off a win against the Ravens. I think that Raiders defense is a little bit too much. Max Crosby's playing out of his mind. Raiders win.
I think the Raiders win. I don't think it's close.
Okay.
I agree. I agree. It could be one of those trap games. You're coming off the game with the Ravens. You feel pretty good. You're coming home. You're playing a bad Panthers team. I think the Raiders win it because the one thing about the Raiders is I don't think they're good enough to think that way yet.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I mean, maybe they surprise us, but right now, like
every game is like a big game.
Are you thinking that the Raiders are a good team right now?
Not yet.
Okay.
I see
promise.
Promise.
Yeah. And Minshew does stuff that is good enough to be good. And then I told you it's maddening. I watched it last year with the Colts. Yeah. He will look amazing.
Yeah.
And then he'll throw a bonehead pick.
He does it every week so far.
And you're just like, what are you doing?
Awful pick against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah. The Dolphins go to the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 2-0. The Dolphins are 1-1, but that's not the problem. And we'll talk about this. Let's just talk about it real quick. So Tua goes out with a concussion on a hit that was hard, but not crazy.
It looked worse than it probably. I mean, well, obviously he had a concussion now, but it looked funny. It looked weird.
It looked weird. His neck got thing.
It was awkward.
But do you think he gets a concussion if he hadn't had concussions before?
Well, see, that's the thing.
And that's the thing,
The next one you get's a little
right.
easier.
And it wasn't a soft hit by any means.
No,
but it wasn't one of those hits where you're like, oh my God.
No.
But his arm went up like it does when you do things.
He's knocked out.
Listen, we're not here to tell anybody what to do. And I know this has been talked about ad nauseum by a lot of people.
I'm sure.
At some point, you got to, I want to play. But at some point, you got to be like, I want to live. Quality of life.
He's a young guy.
And he's a young guy. And you keep getting these concussions and it becomes bad.
Well, at what point then does it become so dangerous that like a hit can literally kill you?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, his
third or fourth, yeah.
Like, he has to be thinking, I'm going to go coach or something like that. Like, do something.
It's got to come to a point, you're right. And you said, maybe kill you, but maybe not that, but maybe like severely damage your brain.
Damage,
where
too.
like now your cognitive ability is a problem. Again, if he wants to play, it's his word. And if the doctors clear him, hey. But I'm saying if I'm a doctor, I don't know if I put my name on that.
Right. Because if you clear him and something happens, might come back.
They're smarter than we are.
Correct. They know what they're doing.
So I don't know enough about this stuff to be like, yeah, he shouldn't play. But I mean,
But with concussion protocol and the emphasis on concussions these days, 30 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Right. And I know some people are like, oh, they're too cautious. And maybe they are at times.
But they've seen it.
But But when your hand goes up and the
He's
one
knocked
time
out.
he's seizing up
knocked out.
and all that stuff, he's gone. Like that's not being too soft.
You see it in the UFC when guys get punched
Yeah, they're
square in the chin.
yeah.
They are knocked out. When his hand locked up like that, he's out for that second.
Yeah, yeah.
Couple seconds. That was bad.
Do you think? I think it's Skylar Thompson that's in. Do you think they have a shot to go into Seattle with
No,
that?
unfortunately, the Dolphins are in big trouble without Tua. Seahawks are playing well enough that Seahawks are going to win this game.
All right, the Ravens and the Cowboys.
Ooh,
what do you think?
They both need a win. I know the Cowboys already have a win, but I think Cowboys going to another loss. Ravens need a win more than anything. They're either in panic mode and they choke this away, or they come out and take out their loss last week against the Cowboys. Of course, I'm going with the Ravens.
I think that this game could be high scoring.
Very possible.
It's very possible. Watch it be 10-7.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be like that. I bet I think whoever gets to 30 first wins this game.
Okay, what's the over under that? 40?
The over under is 48.5.
48.5.
Now this is the one where if I had to do it, I would go over.
We'll go over.
I would go over. I think they'll do it. I think the Cowboys defense was shockingly bad, and then the Ravens gave up some stuff, and the Cowboys saw CeeDee Lamb and some things.
They got Zeke.
My pick is just going to be the over because I don't know. I don't like either one of those teams, so I don't want to pick either one of them.
I got to go with the Ravens because that's who I'm
that's your second
for
favorite.
a while.
Your second favorite team.
Yeah,
all right, let's just talk about one more game here. The Lions and the Cardinals. The Cardinals surprised. I mean, they came out and threw up about 28 points real quick on the Rams last week. The Lions were like the Bears last week. They had 17 chances to win that game and didn't do it. They got cost at the end of the half when they ran their field goal unit out when they could spike it, and it cost them a field goal. And they lost by 3 or 4. I mean, they lost by 4. I'm sorry. So they could, but then the Cardinals, Kyler Murray kind of figured out, hit Marvin Harrison Jr. for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
James Conner's running pretty well. Listen, they have Detroit by 3. I like the Lions in this game. I think they're the better team, but don't be surprised if the Cardinals are in
This is the highest over under, I think.
It's 51.5.
I mean, Cardinals are going to score points. We know that. They can't stop anybody either, though. So I think the Lions play a cleaner version of football. They're more balanced on all phases of football. Better defense. Cardinals are fun to watch because they score points, but the Lions are gonna win it. But I think the over's is tempting here.
Yeah, the Lions I think win. Jared Goff needs to play better. He did not play well against the Buccaneers. But then again, at the same time, me and Sam, our buddy, who's a Lions fan, we're watching this game. I don't know why the Lions didn't run the ball more. Goff is struggling. You have Jahmyr Gibbs and you have David Montgomery. David Montgomery would be the best running back on a lot of teams, and he might be better than Gibbs. Gibbs is pretty good, though. But you have a two-headed monster like nobody else in the league. Give him the ball. Give them the ball.
Give them 15 carries each.
Give them the ball. Like, I didn't get that. Like, I don't understand that.
Get Jared Goff going with some short passes, run the ball, get 3rd and 4, and throw a little out, something just to get Jared going, and then you can start shooting the downfield.
All right, let's shift our focus over to college football. This might be, for you and I,
it's a big week.
The biggest week we've ever had in the same week for our teams since I've known you.
Correct.
It might be there might be some other close when you guys have had Texas, and we might have had somebody. But
usually our teams aren't playing big games like this on the same day.
Like normally there's like one game you're playing Texas and Michigan's playing Minnesota or Northwestern,
right.
And then you're playing like Iowa State and Michigan's playing Penn State.
Yeah.
But this week the 2 marquee games is USC going to the Big House. I think for the first time since like 1950.
I bet it's been a while.
And you guys playing Tennessee in a conference game. I think you're at is it Oklahoma?
It's in Norman.
We've talked about this many times. The one game I've seen at Tennessee was when Oklahoma played. I think Tennessee has returned the trip, and Oklahoma beat them there too.
Yeah.
But this week, Oklahoma is the biggest home underdog they have ever been.
7 points.
Which is a lot.
Which, when you're at home, you're usually not a dog. If you are, it's a point maybe here or there. Tennessee looks really, really good. But if you look at their schedule of who they play, not impressive.
It's not. But
they did take care of business.
They've done exactly what they needed to do. And right now in college football, the teams that have done exactly what they needed to do is few and far between.
True. Nobody's really been as dominant. We thought Georgia for a second.
And then they barely squeaked by Kentucky.
Tennessee has just beat people down.
It has, yes, 2 of the games were against bad teams. But NC State's not a bad team now. I maybe was a little too high on them. We've talked about this.
I liked them too. I thought they were going to be okay.
But Tennessee didn't have trouble with them.
Am I nervous? Yes.
I don't know if I see a way for Oklahoma to win this game.
There's really one way, and it's Oklahoma's defense has to get turnovers. Give the offense a short field, because that defense will keep them in the game for a little bit. But if the offense of Oklahoma, if it keeps going 3 and out, not getting first downs, not converting on third down, Tennessee's going to score points.
Maybe we're a little high in Tennessee, and we've seen this before. Yeah. I don't know. That quarterback has looked really, really good. That offense has been good. Oklahoma cannot settle for field goals. No. They have to score touchdowns.
Gotta get turnovers.
This is like Texas coming into Michigan, I think, where Texas is probably a little bit more of a similar, where we thought that Texas could score, but but Michigan had to score and they couldn't come up empty. Michigan came up empty too quick. If Oklahoma comes up empty early, this could get bad.
It's the same story. Don't get behind too far.
That's the other thing. I don't think Oklahoma can come back on Tennessee.
No.
Tennessee can come back on Oklahoma, I think.
Yes.
And Texas could have done the same to Michigan. Yes. And Michigan wasn't in a position to come back. I think that's more where I'm at too, is if Oklahoma gets down double digits, I don't know.
It's going to be bad. I like our coaching matchup.
Yeah.
Brent Venables was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma when Josh Heupel was there. Heupel's running a similar offense that was ran at Oklahoma in the early 2000s. That he's obviously changed it up a little bit, but it was Mike Leach and Mangino and those guys running that offense. Brent Venables knows that offense. So I think he'll game plan for it. It's the Oklahoma offense that has to, A, block better, and then B, stay on the field longer than 3 and out. Like, you have to convert third downs. That's the only way they have a chance. I want to be competitive. Be competitive. They
can be competitive, and this is going to go a long way to see how good Oklahoma is,
and Tennessee too.
Because we've talked about it. We said last week that we thought there was 3 teams that really proved that they belong in the playoffs. It was Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee.
Right.
And then Georgia against Kentucky, but Georgia kind of does it every once in a while. Yeah. Tennessee didn't do anything. I don't know if they played last week, but they didn't do anything to hurt their thing, and neither did Texas. Except you were getting hurt, but oh my God, we have Arch Manning.
Arch Manning, that's a nice backup.
So I do think this is going to tell us a lot. Welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma, though.
The new SEC,
because this is Tennessee's might be their best team. They were really good that one year when they were number 1 for a minute, and they got blown up by South Carolina. Yeah. Tennessee is good. They're good.
Oh, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team. I'm not sold on them 100% yet. I think Oklahoma's defense is really good, but it can't stay on the field all day long, and it's just going to get worn down. It's going to come down to Oklahoma's offense being able to sustain drives, and like you said, don't kick field goals, get touchdowns.
I think Oklahoma has. They have a shot, and I would be surprised if Oklahoma wins this game. And I know I hate to say this, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay.
I would be more shocked if Oklahoma won this game than Tennessee blowing them out.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
That's because of how they played. Yeah. Because Oklahoma, they did good job. They beat Tulane last week, but again, they had to pull Louis late. And
they jumped ahead early.
Yeah, and then they let him back in. And then the game against Houston,
it
still lingers. So I think Tennessee wins this game. Okay. The line is 7. I don't know. It's tricky in these college games because Tennessee has the ability to blow Oklahoma out. And listen, if Tennessee came into Michigan right now, I think they would blow Michigan out.
Tennessee's looked,
the way they look,
they're going to be a lot.
But again, this is probably going to be the best defense Tennessee's played coming into it.
Sure.
So against Oklahoma,
and I like Brent Venables' matchup against Josh Heupel. I think Brent can come up with a scheme.
He can
to stop that.
But do they have the Jimmies and Joes to stop
on defense? Yes. On offense, that's a different story.
Right. So the other game, like we said, is USC coming into Michigan. Michigan beat Arkansas State last week, but it was very uninspiring. They went up 28-3, and then I think they ended up winning 28-18. They just kind of chilled out. They're making a quarterback change. Alex Orji is going to start. Davis Warren last week, he completed every one of his passes.
How many did he throw?
A decent amount, but 3 of them went to Arkansas State.
Oh, okay.
So every pass he threw got caught. The one thing I heard from somebody is why did they announce Alex Orji was going to be the starter in this week? Why would they not just leave it a secret? for the press, because then you
Correct.
give USC now a chance to game plan for him almost exclusively.
Right.
Whereas before you just thinking about
Davis
Warren, and then some packages with Alex Orji.
Right.
I don't know how Alex Orji throws. I haven't seen him throw enough. He obviously can run. He is a load.
Well, that's going to be the key.
He has the ability, if they will start throwing and doing it, he does give you that dual threat now that Davis Warren didn't give
Correct.
you. I think that can give him a chance to give USC a shot. USC's defense has actually looked competent. They shut out Utah State, I think, after they beat LSU. But it's at Michigan. They have USC as a 5-point favorite. I don't know. At the beginning of the year, I thought Michigan. I didn't think USC was going to be great, but then they look good against LSU, and they do. But they're going into Michigan. So, but then again, I said the same thing when Texas came into Michigan, and they didn't have any problem. But I think Texas is better. I think Michigan can win this game. They need to kind of keep this low scoring, though.
Alex Orji, don't turn the ball over.
Correct.
Don't turn the ball over. Make plays with your feet, right? That USC offense is okay. I mean, I don't think it's like Caleb Williams was there or anything like that. But Michigan can definitely win this game.
They can.
100%.
They need to, and this is the problem they had against Texas too, is they went 3 and out too often. And they didn't sustain drives. And I don't care how we've said this over. You and I have said this over and over and over. I don't care how good your defense is. If they're on the field for 60% of the game, 60 to 70% of the game, which is what happened against Texas, they are going to get scored on. They get tired.
People are like, well, yeah, but the offense is out there too. But the difference is that people don't realize when you have to actually physically tackle somebody, that takes a lot more effort than just running around out there.
Well, here's the thing too.
That wears you out.
When you're on offense, you know where you're going.
You know exactly what's going on.
When you're on defense, you don't. Now, I mean, yes, if you're rushing the quarterback, you know I got to get to the quarterback, but you don't know where the blocker's coming from. You don't know what you need to do. You don't need to do this. So defense is harder because you don't know where you're going. And guess what? The offense controls the game. They have the ball. It's just like in baseball. The pitcher controls the game. He has the ball.
Tempo.
You have the ball. You control it. So don't. Yeah, I understand what you're saying about this offense, but it's not the same. Like the defense, it's completely different.
People think it's the same.
It's not. It's like cornerbacks. Like as a wide receiver, you have all the advantage. You know where you want to run. Right. The cornerback does not.
He's just going off of you.
He's going off of you. And if you make a good enough, that's why guys get so wide open sometimes. Is because they make a great move and the cornerback doesn't know where you're going.
Or the quarterback guesses wrong.
Right.
He tries to make a guess on stuff. But when you have to physically tackle a guy that weighs 200, 220 pounds, and then you go down with him, like it's easier to get tackled than to tackle somebody.
Yeah, right.
That wears you out.
So I will say the Michigan-Texas game I was excited for, a little nervous for, but I really wasn't that because I think in my mind I knew they were going to lose. This one I'm like kind of on the edge of my seat because they can win this game. It's going to be tough, and if they lose this game, then I tell you what, the sky is going to fall. Michigan.
That's still the first loss in the conference.
It is. So they still have a shot. But it's the Michigan fans right now are they're crazy. They're absolutely crazy right now.
Texas that's not a
right.
Quote bad loss.
I mean, the offense has not looked good. I get that, but we'll see. It's a completely different offense with Alex Orji there, so we'll see how that goes.
I'm gonna make my pick here. I think Michigan keeps that. The USC only scored 27 against LSU. I don't think LSU's defense is where Michigan is.
Right.
I think Michigan makes USC go 3 and out quite a bit. I think it's a low-scoring game for a while. I think Michigan's going to pull this out. You watch.
I think Michigan wins this. I think Michigan wins this because so many people are thinking they're not going to win it.
And I don't know why. USC has done nothing to really.
I mean, they beat LSU, but like again, it's LSU. I mean, they almost lost to South Carolina last week.
Correct. Like I don't think
they should have lost.
I literally thought they did.
We're going to. The other ranked opponent game. There's a couple more.
There's like 2 more that you can see.
There's one. It's a Friday night game. Yeah, Illinois, Nebraska. Yeah. Like I don't know how Illinois is ranked. I know how Nebraska is ranked. And actually, I don't think Nebraska is.
People are high on that.
They're better. This like before. I've always been like Nebraska's not back. They're going to get beat. I don't know.
So you think they might?
I think they might be okay.
Okay.
Because they didn't like they lost to Colorado last year, and it wasn't that they lost to Colorado; they gave up so many points to Colorado. They gave up 10 points to Colorado, which how good's Colorado again? But their offense is good, and if Nebraska can score and not have a quarterback a la Martinez and that just make mistakes, if Raiola is really that good, I mean. This is a step to get over. If they get past the step, I mean, they're going to be 7-0 going to Ohio State. Well, they do have Indiana, which all of a sudden looks tricky.
Might be all right.
But
No. Illinois though just beat Kansas and
That's true.
held Kansas to 17 points.
That's
That
true.
Kansas offense is pretty good. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think the Illinois defense, Nebraska hasn't seen a defense this year like it. I think they're good enough to keep Nebraska, but I just don't think Illinois offense has enough firepower to score.
I mean, if you told me at this week that one of the ranked games was going to be Illinois Nebraska, I would have thought you were kidding.
Right, exactly.
But
Joke's
it is.
on
Here
you.
it is.
Here
Nebraska.
it is.
I think Nebraska
22.
wins this game. Here's the other thing, real quick,
They will.
before we get to it. All of a sudden, Clemson's playing NC State, and Clemson's a 20.5-point favorite.
That's crazy. Well, Clemson has bounced back after that loss to Georgia.
They did.
A little bit.
They whipped Appalachian State.
Correct. But that's what they're supposed to do, right?
Right.
So,
And NC State did get whipped by Tennessee, but we're thinking Tennessee might be for real. So
I'm gonna stay. I'll stay away from that.
that's crazy.
Stay away from
All
that.
right. The other ranked one that I was looking at is Utah, Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
So I sent you this thing, I think, earlier this week. It was a thing, I think it was yesterday. The combined ages of the quarterbacks for Utah and Oklahoma State is 49.
Yeah, that's crazy.
49. The combined ages of the Bears-Colts game, which is the pros,
NFL.
is 44.
It's crazy. Because Cam Rising's like 30.
He's a seventh-year senior, and so is Alec Bowman, which I think Alec Bowman was at Texas Tech,
Okay.
at Michigan, and now he's at Oklahoma
See,
State.
I didn't know he'd been around that long.
They're both seventh
They're
years.
both 7-year guys. And Cam Rising didn't play the full game last week.
No, he
So
hurt his hand
he's
or finger or thumb or
He's
something.
a little banged up. If Cam Rising's healthy, this game could be a shootout.
The over-under is 54.5.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But Oklahoma State almost should have lost
Should
to
have
Arkansas.
lost to Arkansas, but they somehow that's what Oklahoma State.
That's what
does.
Dan Gundy
That's what-
does.
or Mike Gundy. does.
Or Mike
does
Gundy,
that.
sorry. Dan Gundy. I don't even know who.
Who's
Is there
Mike Gundy?
No, Mike Gundy. I don't know.
Dan Gundy sounds familiar.
Mike Gundy. He's a man. He's 40.
He's probably more than 40 now.
I like Utah in this game. I think they've done more. Well, let me rephrase this. If Cam Rising is fully healthy,
Correct.
if he
He's
goes
not
down a
in
little bit,
trouble.
Oklahoma State has got to find a way to get what's his name?
Ollie Gordon.
Ollie Gordon.
Ollie Gordon is the key in this one. Keep the Utah offense off the field. This is going to set us up for who is one of the big dogs in the
Right.
Big 12.
You and I both picked Utah.
Correct.
Our other one was Arizona. They lost.
Oh my
They
gosh.
got beat whipped by Kansas
But
State.
Kansas State, we also talked about that.
Yeah, we did. The Big 12 doesn't make sense.
It's
but
good.
but this right here, I think whoever wins this has the
They're in the lead, I think. Right?
yeah, they're the lead. I can't think of words right now. They got to be the favorite. I'm just gonna go there. I'll just go there. Inside track.
For sure.
That's what I was trying to say.
Inside
track to get to the. And I know it's early, but that's a big game for them.
I think we saw it with Kansas State and Arizona. Kansas State is, I think the Big 12 is going to kind of eat itself alive a little bit, and this is going to be the start of that. Whoever wins this is going to, like you said, have the inside track, but whoever loses is still in it.
Yeah.
They're still in it
Yeah.
until they play Kansas State and they lose them, and then Arizona might upset somebody. I mean,
Right.
Big 12 is going to be fun but crazy, confusing. Who knows?
So
Cam Rising healthy, Utah wins though.
another game that is kind of just what looked like it could be a good game maybe before was UCLA at LSU. But UCLA is a 24-point dog. But here's the thing, UCLA, welcome to the Big Ten. Your first game is against Indiana. Cool, we're going to get a win, right?
Let's get it. Let's get it easy to the Big Ten.
Nope, Indiana beat them 42-13.
Obliterated.
Listen, Indiana got James Madison's head coach. He came over.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. He did pretty
And
well there.
they were a 50-some point favorite against Eastern Illinois or something like that, like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, I don't think Indiana scored that many points. And I looked, and they didn't score that many points in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Or the one time they did was in overtime.
Michael
And then,
Penix was there.
and then they go and win 77-3 against that team.
Right.
And then they go and they go to UCLA, which UCLA, Chip Kelly must have knew what he was doing when he left.
Yeah.
And Indiana goes and beats them 42-14.
I mean, UCLA barely beat Hawaii. They beat Hawaii by 3. So that should have told you a little bit about them. But yeah, Indiana just blows them out. Welcome to the Big Ten. Good luck against LSU. LSU's going to be able to work on some things, get some backups in.
They should, yeah.
And UCLA then goes to, or has Oregon come to town. Then they go to Penn State. UCLA is in trouble.
Oh my God, that's their schedule.
That's the night after that. After this one, that's the next one. They're in trouble. They're in trouble.
All right, another game to look at, and this is just would be funny. Notre Dame, they took their
Oh my goodness.
everything that
my goodness.
that they did against Northern Illinois, and took it out on Purdue.
Their head coach probably said, "Listen, I cannot have losses against Northern Illinois, so we're going to make Purdue pay for it.
And they did. So I was out on a boat on Saturday, and the son was at home, and I looked at the game, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
It was over in the first half. First quarter.
First quarter, it's 14-0. Okay, with 2:10, I'll go one back. At 2:11 of the game, it was 21-0. 2:11 left to go in the first half. It was 21-0.
Right.
Notre Dame went into halftime up 42-0. They
Right.
scored 21 points in the last 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
It's crazy.
They won that game 66-7.
Yeah, we know some people that went to that game, and they didn't have a good time at
No,
all.
because I think Purdue fans were kind of secretly optimistic that they had a shot
After
to
the Northern Illinois
beat Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But then some of the fans I know, I have a couple of friends, my son included, he's like, I wish they would have lost to Northern Illinois because now they're going to take it out. And they did take it out. Now they play another MAC school, Notre Dame does, and they play Miami, Ohio. Now, Miami, Ohio is 0-2. I don't think they're going to have much trouble. No. Miami, Ohio is not going to sneak up on them.
No.
And Northern Illinois now is all of a sudden ranked, but that's also because they beat Notre Dame.
That'll go by quickly. Ole Miss doesn't play anybody. I mean, Georgia struggled against Kentucky, but like you said, Georgia does this once in a while. So there's not a whole lot of other great matchups. I mean,
here's the games we have. We have Marshall playing Ohio State.
Can Ohio State play a team? Please.
You know what? For all the crap they gave Michigan last year about their schedule, doing the exact same thing. Arkansas State goes to Iowa State. Arkansas State, hung with Michigan, but Michigan, it seemed like they didn't really care. Yeah. I don't think. Kent State goes to Penn State. Now, Penn State did struggle against Bowling Green, and this is another MAC school, but Kent State's not good.
Bowling Green's not that bad.
Georgia Tech goes to Louisville. Now, that game could be interesting because Louisville is ranked number 19. Georgia Tech, we thought they were going to be good.
But then they screwed around.
And they screwed around and got whipped by Syracuse.
Right.
Vanderbilt goes to Missouri. Missouri is 3-0. They've looked pretty good. They're ranked number 7. Vandy did beat Virginia Tech. But I don't think they have a shot. Miami goes to South Florida. Bowling Green goes to Texas A&M, Georgia Southern Ole Miss, UL Monroe, Texas, and Kansas State BYU. Yeah, the Kansas State BYU could be interesting, which we've talked about this. I'm going to tell you this. If we could go on a road trip, like really go on a road trip, BYU would be one of the places I would go because that field with the mountains around it, gorgeous. Like if you're listening, just look up images of BYU's field. It is one of the prettiest backdrops you will ever see in a college football game. I know some people like the Pasadena one, which is cool.
Okay, right.
But BYU, I'm telling you, look up BYU.
Just if you see BYU is playing at home, just watch it for 10 minutes.
Because they will show you the backdrop. It's that pretty. It's awesome. One of those they'll pan out whenever they have a chance. It might be like that. We talked about that. We talked about this earlier this year when we talked about like the best stadiums, and like BYU Stadium in itself might not be great, but if you talk about where they dropped it at. It's unbelievable. It is
gorgeous.
Like if you like the view of mountains, if we would ever go there, I would be like, let's sit in the top row so we can watch the game. And then when the game's not going on, I'm just going to stare at the mountains.
Yeah, I don't want to be down near the sideline.
Right.
I can't see the mountains.
I know. It's so cool looking. All right. We live in Florida. We do, we're with Elevation 5280. It's based out of Colorado. We appreciate the partnership with all that stuff. There's a bunch of great pods there. But we are stationed in Florida. At the beginning of this football season, and just to our Florida fans, would you have thought that the teams that would be keeping Florida from just imploding would be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Miami Hurricanes?
Miami Hurricanes, me a little bit, but the Bucks, no. But those are because the Gators and the FSU and
UCF is undefeated, but
FAU, nobody.
Holy cow!
FSU. Mike Norvell has to be in trouble.
Billy Napier, I can't believe he's not fired yet. Like they talked about him being fired. The only thing is they have a bye after this week, so I think that might be what they're doing. They're playing Mississippi State. Mississippi State's bad, who got just beat down by Toledo. Okay. Beat down by Toledo. So if Florida loses this game,
he's fired.
He's done. I think he might be fired anyways.
Listen, we could probably coach this game against them, and Florida would win, right? Come on.
They better.
Come on.
But we talked about it. Florida State played Memphis, and I picked Memphis to win that game. Memphis was an underdog, and Memphis beat them.
Yep, I texted you about this. A good call.
If you're a football fan, and then the Miami Dolphins with what happened with Tua.
Yeah.
Because if you were going to go to NFL teams, the teams that would carry Florida right now, you would have picked the Miami Dolphins. I think we both would have.
Correct.
And then and then maybe the Jaguars next,
Jaguars
and
Bucks.
then the Bucks.
Yeah.
But Baker's doing it with that. Miami, like you said, maybe, but Florida and Florida State.
Bad.
We knew Florida could have a bad record and be okay. They're not good.
No, they're not good.
I mean,
Florida State's
bad.
more surprising. They might. I don't. Florida and Florida State play. I don't even know if I want to watch that game. How bad's that game?
So I was listening to. We have the ESPN radio on here in the morning. Miller Moulton. We listen to some. I know you listen to them sometimes. They like to put on some polls, and they're like, they wanted to be as snarky as possible, like this, or like who is going to televise or the Florida State
Who
game.
wants that game?
And they're like the CW network because there's football games on the CW network,
yeah.
and somebody's like ESPN Plus.
Oh my gosh.
not even on the radio.
Yeah, I mean that's a big game in the state, but if both teams have 5 wins combined or something like that, that's going to be.
I mean, at the end of the year, it's possible.
Possible the way they're playing, yes.
I mean, let's go.
Florida in the SEC, they're probably in more trouble because Florida State in the ACC might be able to squeeze a few wins. I don't know because DJ is just not the answer over there. If any team can score points against Florida State, they're in trouble. Florida State's in trouble.
Well, and here we go. They play Cal this week. You know what Cal is?
Cal's not awful.
3-0, and they beat Auburn.
Right.
That's not
a gimme win.
No, it's not a gimme win.
That's a.
This is Florida State. They play Cal. They go to SMU, which SMU's been home against Clemson, at Duke.
Loss.
Duke's not scoring a lot.
Nope.
At Miami.
Loss.
Home against North Carolina.
Maybe.
At Notre Dame.
Loss.
Home against Charleston Southern.
I should win that one.
And then home against Florida. Who knows? Like,
Three wins?
Listen. Right now they have no wins. Let's give them SMU.
Okay.
Let's be nice. Give them Duke.
Okay.
Charleston Southern.
That's 3.
That's the wins I'm willing to give them, and the Duke one might be iffy. Now they have North Carolina in 3.
North Carolina, so at most
4 because they could beat Cal, but
if they lose to Cal,
Norvell might get fired.
3-win season. 4-win season tops.
I mean, if I had a Florida State fan give me some crap about Michigan losing to Texas, I'm like, no.
Whoa, stop. Win a game first.
And I want to be like,
win a game.
We won the national championship last year. We have a little bit of grace.
Yes, correct. Because
right.
A lot of people leave after you win a national title. You lose your coach.
And we lose our coach. National championship.
Yeah. If I'm a junior and I can go NFL and I just won the national title, I'm probably not coming back my season.
Correct.
So why would I stay?
Correct.
And especially if my coach is leaving, I'm gone.
Right. Like if JJ would have come back and a couple other guys, then they would have been. And Harbaugh stays. But at the same time, you're like, no. So, listen, there is the 2 big games. You Oklahoma. What time's the Oklahoma game at?
3:30.
Okay, they're both at 3:30.
Oh, snap.
So we might not text each other at all.
My phone on. Yeah. Only
if it's going well, we're gonna be like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So we got those games. I know we're both really excited for. There's some other games that are good. The NFL. I mean, the way that went, holy cow!
You just never know anymore.
Right. I mean, we said it was going to happen in the first week, and it didn't. It happened in the second week. The only one that was surprising the first week was like the Patriots winning over the Bengals. But after last week, just it didn't make sense. Like if you bet and made money on the NFL last week, congratulations, you are smarter than I am. Yeah, I would go more with the lucky part. You must have been doing some player parlays instead of game parlays because
you the games at all.
None of that made sense. But yeah, but here's the best thing is. These non-conference games have been great. Michigan obviously playing Texas would be great. Hopefully next year, Michigan, Oklahoma should be great. Some of those are really good, but now you're getting into conference play really, and this is where, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten, it's going to get a lot of fun.
Except for Ohio State, they're still playing.
They're still playing Marshall. They play Marshall, and then they play somebody, then they play Oregon. So we're still like 3 weeks out.
Jeez.
So if you're an Ohio State fan and you run it this year, don't give me any crap about the Michigan schedule because yours was almost as bad this year.
5-0 before you played anybody.
Right. But the football season's heating up. Fantasy football went well for me last week.
I went 2-0 last week.
You went 2-0? Oh, I did.
I won both.
So my first week, I have 3 leagues this year, and I went 1-2 my week 1, and then I flipped it and went 2-1, and I'm 1-1 in all my leagues. So but I scored the most points in our league that I run, and I scored the most points in another league.
Nice.
So I had some guys go off.
So that's all it
Hey,
takes.
you got some wins. I see. That's better than last.
I'm 1-1 in both leagues right now.
There you go.
So
There you
I'm
go.
doing good. I'll take it.
But it's a lot of great football. I know we're really excited about all the stuff coming up. Go Blue and Boomer Sooner. We will get at it next time. While you're listening to us and waiting, buy some Happy Nuts.
Shop on the link on there. Click on the links and use the code for 20% off. 2 bald guys 20.
Yeah. Hopefully next time we're coming back with some happy stuff about our teams and our NFL teams. But until next week, I am Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.